what we are supposed to go by, and you have been taking a lot of stress. So I'm increasing my insurance by 10%. Right? Today I have X matrix. I call it as X matrix because cars, for instance, once five banking, insurance, automotive, healthcare, everything is going to drive the data. And you are the future CDOs of it, and you need to know how to manage it as well. Some of the use cases, Amazon Go, how many of you know Amazon Go? It's a human-less buying experience center which is there, and it will be soon be popular as well. Some of you have seen the videos of Amazon it puts on YouTube, where when you order, what happens from the warehouses? We have a bots going, picking up, and giving it up to the last mile. The guy simply packs it, water form and ship, and then ships it. I'm sure that was almost a year and a half old video, but today I think everything is done by bots as well. There's no human involved in packaging of your item that you purchase on Amazon, right? You have contactless banks. I think one is there in Bangalore, if I'm not sure, in MG Road. Almost contactless. You just walk in, there's a robot coming in, asking you what you want. You tell the robot verbally, or you just punch in some numbers, it tells you something. Then if you go to an experience center, you tell I want to apply for a loan, you talk, you interact with the bot, and then it's done. You have EVA for ICICI Bank, I think, right? Or I think HDFC. So you talk and get things done. Just a bot sitting in the back. And then you have refrigerators, which will apply for your stock, what is there, what is not there inside. Again, data. It's everywhere. The data is there from every industry, everybody will be talking about. Yes, Cold is also going to send the data across as well. And of course, the Xmatics are the traffic signal based on number of cars at a particular junction will drive how long that signal should be open and closed. And all these things will have edge cloud. Every time I need to run an algorithm to make a decision, I cannot go to the cloud and come back. So there'll be a cloud. There's a lot of terminology we can use, but there's a small infrastructure put close in density of the particular solution where you're running the solution to bring a decision making almost in a nanosecond and milliseconds kind of thing. And the data needs to be running and churning out fast as well. Now, this is the most important part of it is an interesting part. Data is there. How do I protect it? Remember that 5 chits. You cannot let go my 5 chits. I cannot let go my secrets. What happens and so on and so forth, right? Similarly, every data is important for every company. I can't let go. If I ask ma'am, can you give me a list of all the school students in this school, the background, the telephone numbers, etc. Ma'am will say, no, I should not give I should give it to you, right? So data is important for this particular education institution as well, right? But how do you protect the data? And what part of the enterprise or the economics of cybersecurity comes into play as well? People take it lightly and think something happens. How do insurance companies sell you insurance? All due respect again. Risk, they show you the risk. Yeah, you're going at home, what happens suddenly, if something happens, you meet a small accident, take small insurance. But if you're driving a scooter versus a car versus something, you travel so much, if you have corona, what happens? Take this insurance for that as well, right? So sell you that. Cyber security is also a risk. We also sell it as a risk that companies can happen that if they are at risk at losing the data, because it takes time to build data. It takes years and years to build data. But if they have an attack, a cyber security attack, within seconds it's gone. Ransomware, DDoS, job, default attack, all those things will take your data away. And then you have to rework on it. Imagine you spend 5 years to build some data. If you have to rework it, you'll again spend thousands of dollars into it to rebuild this data as well. So this is what it talks about in terms of the industry where it is heading to. So if you talk about data, whether you take as a CD role or if you take as a CISO role for data, this is what is the industry as well. So it's going to grow and so on. It's going to grow in the $6 trillion economy for this cybersecurity to protect your data. Honestly, how many of you have downloaded this app? I know few of them were downloaded. Right? So there was, when Corona started, there was a message, we have oximeter coming on phone, and people who have a biometric phone, oximeter could test that. Right? So people have done this. People don't test whether it is real, fake, etc. etc. They have done it and they download this data. So it is very important to know what data you need to protect, what you don't need to protect. Every data is not important. Every data cannot go through the life cycle of $6 trillion. I don't have time to spend, I don't have money to spend for every data. But I need to realize what data I need to spend. And this particular app took away a lot of internal information of particular mobile phone outside where it's supposed to be. We had this also, right? Many messages. I got SMS. Sometimes when I test for Corona RT-PCR test, I got an OTP. It's a valid OTP. It's okay. But sometimes I do get your OTP and so can send me an OTP on this number. This fraud is also happening. A lot of people have gone to it because of negligence. People don't realize what is real, what is not real. Phishing. A lot of errors. There was a movie called I think Janmantra. Jamtara. Honestly, sorry. Jamtara, right? Right. So the phishing attack, they suddenly call you saying that they know where you will drop and give you the OTP and so forth. And then you don't realize where it is coming from. You give the OTP array to them, and the money is transferred from your account to their account as well. So you need to be very careful on what information you give it out as well. So it is very important, again, coming back from a security perspective, what you protect, how you protect, and so forth. But this again leads to the data is the new oil. Why we say it's a new oil? I also call it as I also call it as an oxygen. Data is your oxygen. Because until data is you breathe, data not there, then you panic and so forth, right? Because you need to clean it, you need to refine it, and then you need to use it. So that's why we call it the data is a new oil from that perspective as well. But if you see out here, most important aspect, if you see the right hand side, breaking news, Equifax pays 650 million largest ever data breach settlement. And then it talks about merit it with and so on and so forth, right? GDPR related fines after penalties and so on and so forth. So when you manage the data, the future CDOs, as a future analyst, data analyst, it is very important to know where you keep your data, how you keep your data, how you nurture your data, etc. So you and security has to go in hand in hand. Just can't have lying your data everywhere and anywhere you want to. So what is the edge today? Anybody? I'm sorry, I'm asking the interactive so that it makes more learning experience for you and as well as for me. So what is an edge today? You and me are edge today. Until 2 years back, edge was an IoT device, edge was a laptop, edge was antenna and so on and so forth. Today you and me are edge today because we are working from anywhere and everywhere. I could be sitting in Hawaii or Goa, and when you're online, where are you all working or taking classes from? Your homes, maybe your homes, your friends' homes, or if somebody would have been on the beach, for all you know, right? The background, I put some nice picture of home and taking the class as well. So you are in the edge. So the perimeter or the security perimeter, which I call it, has changed. Has changed from the corporate office or a building to a tab or to a device or to a laptop and so on and so forth. So you're moving away from a typical legacy, traditional, you're talking about it where hybrid model is into working, moving away from your four walls to anywhere I want to work from. I want to work from 4 a.m. to 12 noon. As long as I get my productivity done, doesn't matter. 4 a.m. I may not necessarily go to office. 4 a.m. I may not necessarily come to university, but I want to get my work done. So this is a security perimeter. It's changed from a 4 walls to anywhere, work from anywhere kind of concept. So what is the weakest link in all these three? People, process, technology. What is the weakest link when you manage your breach data or breach cybersecurity? Why people? Absolutely. Because we can have the best process in place, best governance in place. We can have the best technology, rocket science kind of technology put, NASA kind of technology put in place as well. But unless people are aware of it, Sometimes I just leave my laptop in my cubicle and then I leave. Laptop is on. It's an internal threat. Anybody who's not liking you as an employee, as a friend, I'm going to get this girl or this boy removed from office. I'm going to send some mail to my boss. So you cannot. You have to lock your laptop. And this is a basic thing. Basic traits of security within an office devices. Email comes. Email says that interesting discount on Amazon.com, $200 discount. Please click on this link. You click, and it takes away the data from there. So the weakest link is the lack of knowledge for us, all of us put together, me included. I need to be aware. What am I clicking? Why am I clicking? Where it is going to go to? What is the impact of it? And so on. Do you all agree with this question? Right? So this is not what we are doing. We have to protect our data in a more sophisticated way, in a more rightful manner way. And this is where I'll be a little selfish and put my slide out here. If I come all this far and say not to do it with the distinguished guest out here. So we need to have a new style or new business model to protect the new technology or new technology for the new style of business. So if you see on the left hand side, you have a lot of. This is again from a corporate world. Maybe someday you will understand this, the use of it. So you have a lot of application being used in the corporate environment as of today, left and right. Right is the typical hyperscaler that we use as of today. In the middle is a lot of the devices, the edge device that is being as of today. And we as 3i bring a certain data protection technology to the edge, where you use your laptops with a lot of other features that we're doing as of today as well. With zero trust, with hardware root of trust. Hardware root of trust is a mobile phone, the 5 hardware root of trust, which is any mobile phone in the world which has hardware root of trust is their Apple phones. If your Apple phone is gone, someone stores it, nobody can take the data away from them. That's a hardware root of trust. Today you don't have that in Android phones as well. And so we bring a lot of protection from talking to our customers in terms of how do I protect the data in entire data lifecycle management. Whether data is on premise, whether data is in transition, whether data is on cloud, whether data is on a device, etc. So with this, I think I would end my session, and if there's any questions which you may have.
Cloud storage, as well as the security markets. I just want to ask if any questions raised by the audience. Yes.
Sir, how do you deal with the data leak if by chance it happens? You have shown some news like $650 million have been paid, but how well we are in that secure zone, sir? Like how secure is our data in cloud now?
See, the security is up to you. How secure you want it to be. Now, when you leave house for vacation, what do you do?
Obviously locked.
You see the back door, you see the front door, you see the windows, you see the lock, you put the most sophisticated lock and you go and go out, right? It's the same concept in the cloud as well. When I'm putting my data on cloud or my infrastructure on application on cloud, I need to make sure the data tools, platforms, we have a lot of platforms, cloud native platforms or bring your own platforms is also there, which I can use it to protect my data. And today you have fantastic tools in the market, fantastic tools with 3i that can be used to protect your data on the cloud. It's up to you. What level of security you want to go into, you can do that.
Sir, even though we are in the highest level of security, still there is a chance of getting the data leak, sir. So that's my like. I will think twice, sir. Like why I would upload my data on cloud.
Yeah. So Yeah. So the good thing about this question you asked, a lot of customers ask in the common shape is that you have a Facebook account. So your life is on Facebook, right? You think twice before going to the Facebook. Your birthday, your certificates, your pictures, your family pictures, etc., right? So that's my case. But I'm going to try to come back to is that there are sophisticated tools that we put. By the time you have an intrusion happening, we have intrusion detection system, threat management at scope of it, right? We have intrusion system there. So the time you realize somebody is coming inside, you bring another layer, stop that guy, stop that IP, etc. So all those things are there. So as part of a solution, as a cybersecurity solution, you have those systems in place. So when anyone is coming and trying to get into your storage, getting into your application, alarm is raised. Thus you have those alarm in your houses. Today your alarm could be your neighbors. The noise comes, the neighbors wake up. But there are sophisticated technology alarms as well. Sends you a ring call or phone or a SMS saying that somebody is trying to enter your house. Right? So theft management is whatever you call it. Right? So you have all these things. But there are mechanisms to stop it. There are mechanisms to stop at the door. There are mechanisms when they come in to stop it as well. No, absolutely, absolutely. It is.
My question was more on the cost. At what cost is all of this happening? We are looking at the computing, we are looking at bringing edge, bringing the computing at the last possible milestone, etc. But at what cost? Is the cost dissipating with time? What is the trend that you see? Or
No, absolutely. The cost, like I said, is taking the time. Reason being is that everybody is moving towards that. The edge 3-4 years back was a hype because it evolved around 2014. But when it came to 16, 17, people started realizing the importance of what an edge solution is. And they started to put that in fact, we are implementing an edge solution in Chennai as well. If I can tell. I can tell. I am. I can? Yeah, okay. So we are implementing an edge solution in IIT Chennai. So on the premises, we're getting a 5G lab, 5G core lab as a service on the edge solution. And we're also putting an algorithm there that monitors about some 500 CCTV cameras for our behavior analytics. And that algorithm decision making process is going to happen at the edge, at the premises, in the campus itself. And the readings, whatever it's going to do, is going to take it to the hyper scalable. And tomorrow, for machine learning purposes, it's going to bring from there, run from here, and then provide you the position.
So I have a question. As generation passes, previously we had a data which the collection of data was really expensive and the storage was limited. Now we have cloud. Do you think there is another technology which will counter cloud in the near future, changing generation?
No, I would not call cloud as technology, to be honest. I would call it as a model, as a framework kind of thing, right? Because what is on cloud as a technology is also on premise. You have a hardware there, you have a server there, you have a OS there, you have storage there, everything is on premise. But the resiliency of scalability is not there, it's there on cloud is not on premise. Today, for example, if I have to store everything on premise, I would buy a very high compute hardware. I would buy storage of about say 10 terabytes of SAN storage or hardware or whatever it is, storage box. But in cloud, I will only pay for the storage I'm using and scale up to not even 10 into 1000 times. I don't want to invest on that. So the working model of how we are invested in your on-premise to cloud is only from a modeling of scalability, resiliency, interoperability. So you're getting away from a capex to an OpEx model.
Hi, sir. Hello, hi, yes, sir. I have one question. All of us know that we are storing data on the clouds and everything, but due to climatical change, some countries are opposing to keep the data centers in their old countries. So they are opposing for that. So how are we going to tackle that thing now?
You're saying old countries.
Yeah, the countries which are having the data centers whole cloud data center. Like Google has data center in cyber areas. So the countries are coming up with the climatical change problem, like facing climatical problems. So they don't want to like have the center there. So how do we tackle that thing?
Yeah, so a lot of green data centers are also coming to the picture, right? Because of these reasons as well. Now, the reason why we have data centers in cold climatic places, not very hot specific places, because of the cost of the data center totally next to the site. Today, if I have to, example I'm saying, hypothetically, if I have to put a data center in, let's say, Middle East in KSA, the cost of my running, the units of AC cooling, etc., is running much higher than running in Iceland. Iceland, I may not need enough cooling box as well. The cost of it is going down pretty much as well. But at the same time, they're being replaced by green data centers as well, save energy technologies as well from that perspective. So today, if you see between hyperscalers, Oracle, for example, provides you the same cost whether I host it in the Middle East, or I host it in Indonesia, or I host it in North America. Yeah, the same cost across. But if you see AWS, for example, if I host it in Ireland, or if I host it in India, if I host it in US, are three different costs. So even individual has their own strategy in terms of. But coming back to the main question of your data center, green technology, moving to countries, this is a strategy people are adopted to invest in those countries as well. The more important is that even if you put in the country from a sovereignty perspective, how it is going to be used by the country or the region or multi-regions. That's an important aspect in strategy perspective.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Yes, I have a couple of questions.
Yeah, sure.
See, what is actually in terms of data flow perspective? Because say, each and every day there will be petabytes of data will be flowing into structured and structured kind of data. So how is it being managed effectively? And second, especially updates, right? Normally when we have connecting cloud to do real-time analytics, so sometimes what happens is with downtime, right? Sometimes everything we have connected and created a server, all of a sudden there is a downtime happens and we can't able to see the thing. So how these things are working.
Yeah, so I'll take the second one first. Is that the strategy of it's a risk element, right? Now, you have heard about high availability, you have heard about DR, continue your business. That's up to us how I want to do. If my application or the business that I'm hosting on cloud is very important that let's say I'm an exchange, setting event, I'm running an exchange, and that needs to be running 24/7 no matter what. It might be having a fraction of a second downtime because people are being using it. Now I will have multiple agents, I will have multiple VR and multiple CV framework of services in the more risk of your application work or going down, you will validate. If the application is down for 1 minute, what am I losing? If it's down for 1 hour, what am I losing? If it's down for 4 hours, what am I losing? I will then bring a strategy to implement my. I'm okay with 1 hour, so I have only one single exchange thing. I'm not okay with 1 hour, I need to be running it at 15-minute downtime. I'll have a double HA, I will only run it with DR side. The 15 minutes the DR side comes. What was the first question? That was a must have. Yeah. Yeah, so I was talking about the 5 U's of big data, what it is. But moving from the people and transformation perspective to data, to insights, to results is what it creates on our flow as well. Now, for example, today we're doing a live project for a customer. Now, the data is from 5 or 6 different sources. It's coming from Salesforce, it is coming from banking domain, it's coming from XYZ and so forth. We're getting the data, we're cleansing it, refining it, putting into a visualization mode where we're ready for banking, banker, taker decision. Their source could be different. Today, I might have Twitter account, I might have Facebook account, I have a LinkedIn account, right? Now, I want to know everywhere where newspapers are visible, what is his personal life and his professional life. So I have to scroll around all this social media posts, get those data out and put it. So all is unstructured data. Sometimes it's structured, sometimes it's not. Most of the time you find unstructured data itself. And then make a meaningful insight to make a decision as well. The quality of data, I would say. Amount of data is up to you. The quality of data, what you want to retain, is the important aspect. Like for example, we are working with a manufacturing company in Europe, where they're a mobile company and they make cars, big cars. And then we are implementing their edge solution in their manufacturing unit. Now they're designing, right? They keep designing the cars, start to look like this, A, and all these things, and then all that necessary information comes to their solution. And the algorithm runs there and provides data to their our unit manufacturer people, the scientists who are out there. And when they say, yeah, this is what I need to pick, that's only that data is gone into the cloud. But the other data that they've done directly on version 1, version 2, version 3 come on the cloud. The quality of data is important, but we want to retain and make it best.
Hello? Hello, hello. So actually, when I'm seeing an article, I've seen like an hybrid cloud. So what's the difference between a hybrid cloud and a normal cloud?
Straightforward. Hybrid means? What do you mean by hybrid?
A combination of some different numbers.
So let's take a bank, ICICI Bank, right? Now they have certain core banking, which is core to their industry, core to their bank, on their premises. What is non-core? Could be HR system, could be CRM system, could be portals, etc., etc. Right? That will be on cloud.
Yes.
The database of you and me, if you have an ICICI account, whatever, the database only will be on the premises. So they're running certain systems on premise for whatever reason. It could be a legacy, it could be a mainframe, it could be homegrown application that they cannot move onto the cloud for whatever reason. It could be regulatory compliance from a country. Country could say that I don't want to move the data onto the cloud, I want to keep it on my premise. So they won't retain that. Certain data which is not confidential to the country or to the individual, they move it onto the cloud.
So it might be a cloud between public and private thing.
Absolutely.
Thank
Private
you.
could be on premise, private could be in a co-location, in a rented data center as well, where it's a public cloud.
Yes. Thanks. Thank you.
I hope we have no more questions. Thank you so much, sir, for this amazing session and clarifying our doubts and queries that we all had. Thank you, sir. Now, we will move on to our panel discussion on the topic Business Analytics is a catalyst for growth and a performance measuring tool. And I would now request Dr. Shidit Sharma, Professor at ABBS School of Management, to coordinate the discussion and invite all the panelists to the dais. Coordinators, please make sure the stage is ready for the panel discussion. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. So we are ready for the next program, that is panel discussion today. I hope you are waiting for that interactive session which is going to happen now. And throughout the day, you have enjoyed, a lot of interesting things about business analytics, data management, data analytics, which I'm sure is close to your heart. So now, before starting the program, I would like to invite Dr. Madhumita Chatterjee. Dr. Madhumita Chatterjee on the stage. So for today's panel discussion, we have four panelists are there. As you know all, our topic today is business analytics, a catalyst for growth and performance measurement. So I would like to call upon our first panelist. He is the most senior member here in the
audience. Our first panelist is Professor Dr. S. Chandrasekhar. I would like to invite him on the stage. I introduce Dr. Chandrasekhar. Professor Chandrasekhar is a senior professor and director in analytics at Jagdish Sheth School of Management, Bangalore. And his credentials are, his achievements are a long list is there. I'll try to cover as much as possible. So he has a total experience of around 25 years in corporate research and academics. He has worked at reputed organizations like Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, ISRO, NRSA Hyderabad, Indian Institute of Management, Lucknow, Ford School of Management at senior level. He has been awarded NASSCOM Diwan Mehta Award for Best Teacher in IT year 2010. He has been awarded India Higher Education Forum Award for Contribution in Technology in Higher Education 2012. Awarded Times of India Education Times Award for Contribution in IT area 2013. Facilitated as one of the best teachers by IIM Lucknow alumni during Silver Jubilee celebration. Awarded Excellence Award for Contribution in IT Education by Asian Customer Engagement Forum in December 2014, facilitated by Worldwide Achievers Forum for Contribution in IT March 2015, Outstanding Contribution in Education by India Education Network, September 2016, one of top 10 analytics faculty in the country by Analytics India magazine for 2017, 18, 2018. He is a distinguished service award in multidisciplinary domain by Advancing Research for Innovation in 2021. Sir holds a bachelor degree in electrical engineering, master's degree in computer science from IIT Kanpur, and doctorate in quantitative and information system from University of Georgia, USA. And there are many more things he is. Yes, sir. With your permission. So I'll request the Dr. Chandrasekhar to welcome Professor Chandrasekhar.
Whenever we ask him to come, he comes here with all these accolades. I completed 50 years of service.
Next panelist is Ms. Mrinalini. May I invite Ms. Mrinalini on the stage? Mrinalini is a senior human resource business partner at Fidelity Investment. She is a seasoned human resource professional with wide experience managing talent at the intersection of people and business priorities. During her 17-plus year career, Mrinalini has managed and led organizations through critical business events, including high growth, merger and startups ventures, such as Digit Insurance, which is a 2021 first unicorn, where she headed the human resource function and led the organization through the first year of inception. At Fidelity Investment, where Mrinalini is responsible to drive business outcomes through strategic talent investments for the business operations division. And when she is not drowning the HR head, she loves to cook Italian and travel across the country in her car.
Instagram ID.
Our next panelist is Mr. AcharyaBBS. I would like to invite him on the stage. AcharyaBBS is Senior Vice President and Head of Center of Excellence AI Analytics, which has 25 plus years of experience in the technology industry, and he spearheads the COE for leadership on artificial intelligence, data science, big data and data engineering. initiatives. As a senior entrepreneur, Ajay has been instrumental in building world-class products and companies in high-tech space. He has led multiple startups from incubation to successful events by identifying emerging market opportunities, building high-caliber teams, and demonstrating keen understanding of the customer. His Silicon Valley-based startups were funded by likes of Intel Capital and Philips. His most recent venture, Cupola Technology, which is an IoT engineering company, was acquired by Happiest Minds in May 2017. On the technology front, Ajay's experience in building strategies and world-class products and solutions for emerging areas such as AI, data analytics, IoT, video, and networking. He has also managed large cross-functional teams for successful delivery of global award-winning products. Ajay holds a Master of Engineering degree from BITS, Rajasthan. He is on the board of various industry bodies and a regular speaker at various industry forums. I'll request Dr. Chatterjee to welcome the guest. Last panelist is Dr. G. Jagan Jose. Can I invite him on the stage? Dr. Jose is a data analytics and project management expert. Dr. Jose has over 18 years of experience in service and manufacturing industry. He comes with strong data analytics and project management expertise. He had driven multiple digital transformation projects across service and supply chain portfolio and helped to improve the productivity and efficiency of the process. He has done the research in field service management from National Institute of Technology, Trichy. He is passionate about learning new things and meeting people. I would request Dr. Chatterjee to welcome Dr. Jose with the greeting.
ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಮಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ.
For the panel discussion, we will start the discussion now. We have our four panel members at our team. My first question to Dr. Chandrasekhar. Professor Chandrasekhar, but you are quite experienced.
From here we
transactions. You have spent around 40 plus years this domain, where you have worked with pretty prestigious industry, and you have seen the development of business. What is that development mean to you? What has happened in this space? Right? What was the picture, let's say 30 years back, when you have seen the development in 2000? and then because when 18 days moved, like when Corona hit. So what is that development do you see now today?
No, development means I think in two ways it has happened. One is on the technology side. The other one is in the application side. So on the technology side, all of us know. Long back, these computers I think used to take this whole room. When I started, when I was in IIT Kanpur, we had that IBM 1401 7041 computer. I think almost the entire room it used to take. Now you can imagine what happened. So somewhere what happened was one side the technology cost started coming down. Then the size also started coming down. Two things happened. So whatever was costing some 1 crore or something has come down to 1 lakh now. So terribly the usage has gone up and somehow the adoption has increased. That is one thing that has happened. The second thing is on the telecommunication front. All of us know, I think 20 years back, to get that ITA telephone, there was long waiting list. I think after 6 months or 1 year or 1.5 years, you are getting a telephone. So now you see, I think almost, I think 1 hour you will get a phone. So that is how the whole thing moved from 40 years back. One is the telecom revolution. The other one is the revolution in this, what we call the integrated circuits, nanotechnology, all this where we try to put a lot of computing power in this. 1 nanometer, I don't know how you will imagine. If you take one hair strand, one hair in my head, that is something like 70,000 times the nano. Now you can imagine where the technology has moved. Our one hair is equivalent to 70,000 nanometers, 10 to the power of minus 42. So that is where the technology has moved, and so much, I think, we have put thing in that. That is first part. The second part where it is moving is that another disruptive technology will come now. Unfortunately, most of these computers, they work on what is called a one-human machine. It has only two states of nature, either it has 0 or 1. Eventually, what language you speak, what application you speak for the machine, it doesn't understand anything except zeros and ones. Eventually, it will convert to zeros and ones. You may not see it, but that's what we do in our compilers, operating system and all. We take care of that. But somehow it has two states of nature. That means there is some limitation to work in a parallel way. We have some parallel computing and all, but that is also not enough. He spoke about big data, security, this, that, all those things. So what has come is what is called a quantum computing. That will be in the computer in the next 3-4 years to come. What we are doing is instead of two states of nature, we are somehow able to with that bit or whatever you call it, it can state more states. The moment it becomes more state, it becomes what is called a probabilistic machine. It is not a deterministic machine. It has only two states. You don't know which state it is. But somehow, yes, they are coming what we call a 2-bit quantum computers, 4-bit, etc. is coming. The power of that quantum computing is, I think, whatever that security breach, I think if you use that 1024-bit key, virtually your key can be 2 to the power of 1024 combinations. I think the entire world you can fill with zeros. So to break the key, it requires quite an amount of time. It takes about, I think, 6 months to 8 months to break that 1024-bit key. That is the encryption that happens now. Unfortunately, your mobile will not do the encryption. Be careful, because the mobile will not do a 1024-bit encryption. It has only 64. And that's why hacking a mobile is simpler than hacking a laptop or a desktop, because we don't have that much power to do it. So be careful when you use all your Paytm, UPI transactions and all. They are all 64. It can be easily hacked. That is why your crimes are going up like anything we don't understand. It can be easily hacked. 2 to the power of 64 is a small number compared to 2 to the power of 1024. Definitely it can be broken in minutes. Why not? So that is where it is. So this quantum computing, it is still terrible. And that what it takes to break a key in 365 days, it is supposed to break it in some microseconds. So all the applications, all your security, everything has to be rewritten now. In another 3 years, we will have to rewrite all these applications. That is another area where this trend is going. And long back we had only structured data, he spoke upon that. I think Gartner also tells in the next 2 to 3 years, 75% of the data will be unstructured. So it contains your voice, it contains your images, then it contains the text. And your number get reduced to only 25. So the skill has to be developed in those areas. How do we handle images? How do we handle pictures? How do we handle voice? We have that what is called the natural language processing that has come, but still it has a long way to go. I will give you 2 sentences. Stock prices went up. It is a positive sentiment, whereas non-performing asset went up is a negative sentiment. Unfortunately, what this machine does, we identify some keyword that up only will identify, and it will give positive sentiment for both. So actually it is a negative sentiment. That's where the job starts. Then there is some difficulty in extracting the sentiment or what we call the semantic part of the text. It is still tough. If you give the machine 30 pages document and ask it to summarize to 1 page, we are not able to do it. That's what we are trying to do in the future. I will give you 3 sentences only. You see the complexity of the machine, how it becomes dumb compared to a human person. Somebody invites me for dinner. I will say, let me see. Second person will say, probably I may come. Third person will say, are you joking? The semantic part of that is there is an uncertainty in coming to the dinner. You give it to this natural language processor, it will group them as 3 sentences. It will become 3 clusters. It cannot be 3 because the hidden meaning is only 1. This poor fellow puts it in 3. So like this, if you give a text, instead of putting it into 30 clusters, we will get 3 lakh clusters. For 3 sentences itself, I added 3 clusters. Now if I put your whole, what we call this, CBI reports and all, they will give it in trucks. Any judgment in no less than 10,000 pages, 30,000 pages. And if you ask this machine to classify this judgment, where we need this text and that, I don't know where the machine goes. Somehow, another technology, where a lot of NLP has to be there. Then most of these NLP, what we call this NLP processing, it is written for English. What is happening to my Indian languages? They are not prepared to write. I asked some of them, even Microsoft, I asked why don't you write? They said, sir, all the software engineers are coming from poor country to my thing, so they have to develop it. So I think in India, the largest speaking language is Bengali first. Next Hindi comes. I think next other languages are coming. So a lot of these NASCOM startups are working on this. Virtually, I think out of these 30, I go and guide some of these startups. About 40, 50 startups are working in my country to write the parser for the Indian languages. There is a catch here. English is the only language which has only 26 letters. We don't have matras and half letters in English. In Indian, all this comes into picture, vertical bar, horizontal bar, borrow, all this comes into picture. So the NLP is little tough to write for Indian languages. I think that is one thing for the younger crowd who is sitting. If they start working on Indian NLP, all of them can become entrepreneurs. We have enough scope. Varida is there, Telugu is there, Malayalam is there. There are so many languages. There are 22 official languages. And there are dialects. Dialects doesn't have a script. So we only have a voice. I have to write a voice to text converter first. Then use the NLP. I think there must be about 100 dialects in my country. So those people, particularly tribal people, they cannot even write. He can only speak. Then how do we do it for him? How do we give information for him? That is the biggest social impact anybody can do. I think writing these dialects for our, tribal community and trying to do something for them. How do they get information? Many even cannot read newspaper. So what we will do is we will take a picture of the newspaper, convert the text to voice. He will hear. He will again answer something in voice, convert back to text. That is other large area where application is coming. I think the vision part I will talk afterwards. I will request others to speak.
So I understand. and there are a lot of opportunities for that matter in the development of analytics. Huge scope is there. If we talk about the Indian geography itself, there is, I mean, sir has opened up the plethora of opportunities in the language converting, NLPs, use of NLPs. So many things are there. And definitely there are entertainment factors are also there.
One or two people from the next legal may not be there right now. So at least that is the combination. So most of these students should go there.
Right, sir. Right. We'll come back to you, sir. So our next panelist, Mrinalini is there. So Mrinalini, I would like to know, you are there in the HR domain, and for 17 plus years you have been into this, right? Analytics, as far as we are listening about last 4 years, 5 years, basically we are listening about analytics, the use of analytics and the development in analytics. How was your first experience of analytics in your HR area? What was your reaction to that?
Yeah, thank you for that question. And when I was going through that question myself, I was taken back to the early stages of my career. And I thought, if you look at the early 2000s, HR as a function was beginning to dabble with the quantum of data that we were sitting on. We did have good quality data even back then. And the organizations that I've worked for, and especially in the early 2000s, some of them had, the systems available for you to access good quality data. I think what comes into the system is what matters first, at least from an HR analytics context. It really makes the difference. And we experimented in those early days with, of course, Excel was the go-to solution at the point, but a lot of the work that we were trying to do was around predicting behavior. Behavior around, and of course, the popular sentiment around the time, and the problem that we were trying to solve for was attrition. And it was the most common use case for an HR professional to try and solve, because it had great, and dire business impact. And it was, I would say, the foundation for many HR professionals to dabble in analytics. Of course, some of them got into careers focused around workforce analytics, which is what we call it today. So workforce analytics as a professional pursuit really began maybe by 2010, 12. That's when we started seeing people getting hived off from the HR function. We also brought in people who were business analytics professionals, technologists, began to show interest in the space. But where we see the role really shift now is the integration, really, of that function into the everyday role of an HR professional. So while we might have standalone workforce analytics teams, which really, massage the data, give you insights, provide predictive insights, really, for the HR professional. Today, the data has really accelerated in its relevance and significance as a critical decision-making tool, right, for business. One couple of use cases that are relevant today, and very, very recently with the COVID context, one around engagement, right? So how do we measure engagement in a context where you're not even meeting your employee? Right, and it has become extremely critical for HR as a function to have that last mile touch point, right, in a remote scenario, which is going to be possibly a permanent solution and the way of working going forward. How do you have that last mile interaction? And that's when data analytics and predictive analytics really comes center stage. A lot of organizations, Indian startups, solving for these problems today. So a lot of off-the-shelf solutions that are available for HR professionals to use. Some of them we're using in my own organization today, which really help you to, where a human is not available, they bring data back to you and help you focus on the areas where, your intervention makes the most amount of sense, right? And where the money really lies. So a lot of the experience from an employee perspective could be around surveys, could be around bot interactions, could be around interfaces beyond your HR person that you've traditionally seen. That's going to be a significant shift in the way an employee experiences the workplace, right? And analytics is really the driver there.
So if I say and the kind of change which I see here is that initially in your HR experience that individuals were important. I mean, the individuals themselves were important and the data on the second stage was important. Here now what has happened is data now has become the primary and the individuals have become secondary, right? First you will identify the data, you will fetch the information, then will see that whether the candidate is suitable for you and then you will find that interaction to happen for the company. Is
Absolutely.
that true?
So I wouldn't put the order of priority of the individual being second. I would just say that the way we're solutioning for some of these use cases has really looked different today. Where it could have been a simple, solution of trying to understand the whole data set, which was what a typical hiring practice used to do, right? You're trying to understand which is the best source of a technology or a skill set, or you're trying to understand what is the behavioral trait that we're looking for in a particular kind of role. All of these things have been overtaken with solutions through analytics, predictive analytics, behavioral analytics, and all of these solutions now assist you to kind of ensure that you're driving the best interests of both the associate as well as the organization.
I mean, it's like your dependency on data is more, reliability you are what you are getting from the data is more. That's the development has happened.
Absolutely.
It's for the good.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you. So we'll have this second round now with you again. Some more questions. I'll move on to Ajay now. And Ajay, you have a very prolific profile. You have uh, startups. You have worked in many industries and handled many teams also. So you have seen this industry pretty close. Okay. And now that industries have developed, industries 2.0, 3.0, and we are talking about industry 4.0 also. In that domain, a lot of things are like which are handled by analytics, where industries will work its own, and a lot of things will be there. Technology will be the main front. So, analytics point of view, what has happened in industry 4.0? What changes it has brought? Where we are seeing that development, and are they for the benefit of the industries? Please throw some light on this.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Speech. First of all, my gratitude for having me here. Now, obviously, if you look at industries, you pretty much cover a plethora of industries, right from manufacturing, industrial to oil and gas. And they basically are the fulcrum, of how the economic progress and the nations actually progress. Now, before we get into industry 4.0, if you look at the overall industrial revolution in the last few centuries, I think all the production pretty much was done through hands, use of animals and things like that. And the first breakthrough that came in with the industrial revolution was when basically the power and machines came into picture, and that basically got in the automation that was required to a large extent. And then the second basically wave came, the third wave basically came in, where we had the IT thing coming in, where the likes of your customer relationship management, your ERPs, you had systems to be able to manage the attendance, you had systems to be able to remove the inaccuracies and people dependencies that were there to large extent. And came the industry 4.0. Now industry 4.0 came because first thing that happened was you connected the unconnected. So you talk about machines, you talk about humans, you talk about vehicles and anything in between. Everything got connected. And going back to what Nilesh showed in a slide, it happened because there were sets of technologies that enabled it. IoT being one of them, basically, it extended your last mile, right from your refrigerators to your machines, to your vehicles, to your bedrooms, to the place you work, to the bottles that you use, the pills that you use, everything potentially got connected. And all this connection actually got you the data. Data got you the behavior, that you required. And that behavior basically once analyzed by the business gave you the power to be able to leverage that to basically work better. So I think that has been the progression that has happened from an industry 4.0 perspective. The other important concept, if you look at from an industry 4.0 perspective, Apple was a call that he made when he started. Now let's look at a farm to fork kind of approach. Basically, if you're eating a delicacy made out of apple, the intent from an industry 4.0 perspective is to connect, right? The apple orchard where basically the apple is grown, the ability to control that from agriculture perspective, the ability to control the transportation in terms of the condition monitoring, the temperature, humidity sensors that are there, the ability to manage the warehouse, to the ability to basically build the product, package it and ship it to an end customer. So this end-to-end connectivity from farm to fork, is basically very, very critical from an industry 4.0 perspective. Now, easily said than done. We look at industry 4.0, you talk about connectivity, you talk about decentralization of making decisions. Sounds very simple, but unfortunately or fortunately, industries have existed, industries have grown, and they have a certain way in which they function. So they have basically have different functions, which they need, like for example, sourcing function, a production function, a system R&D function, a supply chain function, a finance function, marketing, sales, and different functions is what they have done. Now, all of them have used different systems, all of them have different KPIs, all of them have different expertise, and they have actually grown with those kind of those kind of functions being in place in an organization. Okay. Now there comes in an important concept called digital thread, and what it basically does, digital is for technology, thread is to connect the internal functions within the organization. So as much as you talk about organization adopting 4.0 and looking at connecting everything from farm to fork, the first step is to connect what happens within the organization. And I'll give you a couple of examples around that. For example, different functions may be looking at the weather information, they may be looking at the political situation around, in that area where you're sourcing some stuff. Now, assume there are any issues or challenges with either weather or with the political situation. Now, that will impact your sourcing. The sourcing guy may basically advertise. That sourcing will impact your production. That will impact your sales. It will impact your marketing. Now, if this information comes in a channelized way, where within the organization it has the right context, it has the right persona, and it has the right timing. What will happen is the same information will be utilized by the sourcing team to alert, by the production team to basically optimally have a production system and manpower in place. Your marketing team might use it so that they can actually sort of, if they're going to sell this product and going to heavily market, they can either hold on to that budget or shift that budget to something else. Your sales team can use the same information so that they can identify the customer and the pricing that is required from them. Okay? Now reverse the example. Assume you take a customer feedback in terms of a voice of a customer or anything like that. Now you can always come backwards from there and give the input right up to the R&D team that this customer didn't like this in this demographic details for this age group, for this kind of stuff, and this was the reason around that. Now all those information are coming because the data is available. Data is available to multiple sources, to multiple channels, and there is a hunger for data. I saw in the template where you see data is the future. To me, the data is there. The insight and the business analytics on top of that is the future. It has started and will continue to happen. Supported by quantum computing, supported by all different functions trying to look at prediction, analytics, and understanding their stakeholders.
Industries in 4.0 definitely will become, I think, quite powerful, particularly knowing about the consumers, about serving them better, and the capabilities will rise like anything. I hope the same situation is for the consumer also, because on the one side, industries are becoming powerful, knowing about the consumer. On the other side, I'm also thinking from the perspective of consumer also, or will become better. I mean, will dictate their terms. Should I say dictate their terms? Like they'll be in better balance with.
So, say the way I look at it is, there is no winner and loser. It has to be a win-win situation all across. Now, if you look at Industry 4.0, it has given you the insight where you can figure out the milk that you're drinking comes from this cow with this kind of feed that has gone in. And I'm giving an example, but you can connect it to anything that you want, isn't it? At the same time, basically the industries are there because they have to make sure that they are profitable, they are sustainable, and they can grow. Okay? The win-win thing happens when transparency is built in from an end-to-end ecosystem perspective, and there the governments and the governing bodies and the compliances are very, very critical. I think it was touched upon from a GDPR perspective. Every government is looking at what kind of protection that they give to the consumer, information that is shared. And unfortunately or fortunately, is no one template that fits all. If you're looking at the healthcare as an example, the rights of consumers are very different there because the sensitivities are very different compared to online shopping or compared to a social media thing, that you utilize. So that being the case, I think, from an industry 4.0 perspective, from a consumer perspective, the maturity of the organization or the industry plays a very important role. And the journey is basically from where your organization is, what the priorities are, and what are the next steps for you to be basically able to enable that. But all said and done, I think the consumer is more educated, has more information, has more comparable, matrices to look at, and with a very informed customer, obviously it'll give pushback to the systems and the governance system to sort of become more mature as we go.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ajay. It makes sense also. I'll come to Dr. Jose now. Dr. Jose, again, you are expert in this area of business analytics. And my question is, again, I'm trying to connect with the industry point of view. Let's talk about today the position of analytics. Analytics is definitely growing and it's helping industries. How it is helping, that is one thing, you can, let's say, for example, if I talk about supply chain, right? How it is helping in building up the supply chain industry, and at what stage basically an industry should start in looking that business analytics is important for me, I should go for it. At what stage does it come into picture?
Sure, definitely. It's a great question. And probably I will give a little background before directly jumping to answer this question. So first and foremost, see, it's a great topic to discuss, right? And all of us are speaking about data. Why we are speaking and giving more emphasis is this data? Because data is one of a key industrial asset. That's asset. Okay. And second thing, most of the industries are migrating towards data-driven decision making. Why they want to do data-driven decision making? Because that's why they are able to maximize their value. Okay. And again, see, analytics, business analytics, right? So we are not lucky enough like you guys to have a session like this to somebody come and teach us about analytics, right? We learn through our experience, right? So analytics, what is the meaning of analytics if I ask you, right? So basically if you ask me, I will put in this way. For me, analytics is kind of getting some useful information. Based on information, I am gaining some knowledge. Based on the knowledge, it is making me to take some decision. So that is converting into action. Simple, right? And next, again, we are speaking a lot about data. There is one more thing called metadata. I don't know how many of you heard about this. That is data about data. That's also one of the areas where you guys need to learn. So from your perspective, see, again, I have to little bit I go inside and then I will come to yours. So there are different types of analytics. Okay, so we can call as descriptive analytics, diagnostic analytics, predictive analytics, and then prescriptive analytics, right? And we have to be clearly know what is the difference. If you look from the descriptive analytics, so it will tell what happened, right? What happened? That's it. So you can again use some Excel charts and everything to tell to the business to measure what exactly happened. That is called hindsight. Okay, because we always hear about data insight, but there is hindsight, insight, foresight. Okay, so then first you are doing what? The descriptive analytics, right? Through that you are going to measure what happened. Now you are going to come to diagnostic, right? Diagnosis is the place where you are going to get into the insights why it is so. Say for example, if my on-time delivery is 80%, then it is the first stage is just measure it. But in the second stage, you will get into that why it is 80%, right? Then only your RCA, root cause analysis will come into picture, and then you understand that. That is why it is, right? And then once it will go to prescriptive, predictive. That's why you are doing a lot of predictions, right? Madam also covered, right? So we are trying to predict what the future will be, right? That's from the predictive perspective. So, and then last up is prescriptive, right? That's where it will tell you, right, what exactly you should do in order to get the better result, right? This you have to keep in mind. And now things are going towards cognitive. right? So cognitive, and then as Sir said, we are moving towards quantum computing. Okay, so this is the fundamental, right? So if you are going to select a profession in analytics, you should know that this is the step. Because again it's a hybrid. I cannot say I will do only descriptive or prescriptive. Okay, and if you see some of the skill set, what you guys have to be aligned to this is obviously some of the knowledge in Excel. Excel is the basic, right? Then you should know about some of the making charts, graphs, and other stuff. And then important thing is now R, Python, Java are some of the key technologies, right? People are speaking. And then statistics, some of the skill set, right? And data science, right? Where you are doing machine learning, artificial, and other stuff. Okay. So this is some of the basic things before I answer this. Okay. So now coming to that, how analytics is using in supply chain problem, right? I'll come to supply chain. Again, little bit about supply chain. What is supply chain? Right? Again, we usually a big thing, right? But simple thing. Let's make it very simple. Make, move, buy, make, move. Simple. That's supply chain. If you ask me from my perspective, we are buying, making, moving, right? But we are in uncertainty situation, right? Everyone knows that because things are not static; it is dynamic, and there is a lot of uncertainty involved. So to minimize the uncertainty, what we have to do, we have to do a better planning. If you do a better planning, then only we can able to meet this buy, make, move, right? For the planning, first thing, as analytics is very important, right? When I say planning, obviously we'll start with forecasting, predicting, right? So that's very important. So in that perspective, if you look, we have a lot of analytical techniques, right? So again, so if you look from traditional way of approach, we used to take historical data, just historical data and simple moving average and a lot of techniques which will help you to do what is future. But if you look from the accuracy standpoint, right? Because accuracy is important. That's why we are looking at a lot of analytical solutions tools to ensure that we are trying to minimize the gap. Right? So that's the thing, a lot of analytics tools are being used. If you look recently, what are the things we are using is, we are using deep learning. Even when I say deep learning, neural networks will come into picture, machine learning, artificial intelligence, right? So we are trying to use, again, see there are different patterns of demand. We cannot see in today's scenario, we cannot say, give a common answer to everything. So everything are different as per the scenario, right? So we have different types of demands, right? There are smooth demand, intermittent demand, erratic demand, lumpy demand. These are different types of demand we have. So as per the demand, we have to change our approach, right? That's very important, right? So that's why now the intelligence and other stuff are coming into picture. Say for example, if it is a smooth demand, I cannot use the same forecasting technique because it will give me error, right? In that perspective, what I have to do is I have to make my analysis a little bit more intelligent. Right? So what we are doing is we are using this intelligence into the analytics, right? So, and then we are predicting, and so that we are able to minimize it. This is one of the key applications what we are doing to analytics and the change we are bringing, especially in the supply chain planning.
I see that business analytics per se is important at every stage for the industry. You cannot say that we would first focus only for starting. Let's say for the startup point of view, we'll start and then we'll see how do we become major in technology and how do we focus. No, it has to be at every stage.
Absolutely. So I have touched upon the planning, right? So planning, after planning, what eventually happens, we are going to meet the plan. Obviously, we are going to buy, right? When I say buy, it's procurement comes into picture. Again, in procurement, we have direct procurement, indirect procurement, right? So in procurement, one of the key challenges, how can I ensure I am onboarding a best supplier who can able to deliver me a best product in terms of cost, quality, and on time, right? So there again, we are using analytics. If you specifically ask, we are using some of the earlier, again, we used to use traditional technique, but now we are using some of the machine learning, support vector machine. Okay, this is one of the algorithms, right? Where we are trying to optimize and we are trying to select the right support. Again, so there is a saying, right? We should not put all the eggs in a single basket, right? So again, same thing. We will see that what is the supplier, who are the suppliers capable to deliver that? How can we divide that? 100% we again come up with a recommendation. Out of 100%, okay, 60% let's give to the supplier A, 60 20 another supplier like that. And once we do that buying, then it's going making. So during making, obviously it has to travel, right? It has to ship, it has to be moved. And then in the moment also we have to check, right? What is the mode we have to select? What is the time we have in our hand? And then what is the, when I say mode, we have air mode, land, ocean, right? What is the mode? And again, there will be a combination of modes. So eventually, see, bottom line, if you look, we perform end-to-end analytics of the supply chain, keeping in mind how can I able to make my customer happy first. Secondly, how can I able to make my revenue That's important, right? So eventually I have to minimize the cost. If you look from the entire end-to-end supply chain, my objective is end of the day I need to make margin, right? I need to maximize my revenue, minimize my cost without compromising some of the on-time delivery, productivity. So that's the key thing, right? So obviously productivity. When I say productivity, how can I improve the efficiency of the process? Right? That's important because every process has some sequence of steps. Really, we need it or not? That's the question, right? So coming back to your question, yes, we are using analytics from end to end to streamline the supply chain, and now as even Nilesh was saying, right, we are looking a lot of things from touchless stuff, and that's also one of the step forward where analytics, analytics, like you said,
Interesting. So, I mean, every stage we require that end-to-end analytics has to be there. And my next question to Professor Chandrasekhar related to this only I would like to ask is that, I mean, we are seeing that analytics is defining all the industries per se, right? And I'm just curious to know about whether in future will there be any work which will be devoid of analytics or data, or is that everything is to be driven by, you understand the data first and then the work will happen?
So data will cover, I think, some part of it, but somehow I think we cannot come out of this human intelligence that is much more than data. For example, your emotion, creativity, intelligence, where are we capturing in the data? That cannot be captured. So there are some other aspects that go into decision making apart from data. I think that still remains. I don't think how do you define creativity in the machine? I'm not very sure. Even today, difference between what we call ability and attribute. What do we do? These are all the human attributes which are somewhat tough to capture. Entrepreneurship, how do you put it to a machine? Riskability, oh no, we cannot define this risk inside a machine. So what is happening is, it is like this, whatever data you collect, however much you collect, I think eventually it will speed up the decision making. Finally, somehow, who is responsible? CEO becomes responsible, not the computer. Who will be got in the shareholders meeting? He will be got, not some Japan machine or AI machine. And when there's something you told I implemented, you cannot tell the shareholder I made a loss now because that AI thing told I did. They will say you put your post past. They will remove him from the MD. So what is happening? What is eventually happening is somehow it will speed up the decision making process, but eventually I think human has to take a decision. We can always override it because there are some other attributes which machine could not capture. There is something called a human, the way we interact in the organization. So the type of culture that comes, how do you capture this culture in the machine? That plays an important role in the attrition what she spoke. But somehow that is difficult to capture. Some technologies are coming, what we call that graph type of a network and all. They are trying to do it, but still it takes, I think, some time to eventually capture, apart from data, the other attributes which human uses to make a decision, that still we are not able to transfer to the machine. Then I think all of us will become jobless. It will not happen, don't worry. No, we are very safe. To give a simple example, you take this machine learning to make a machine to distinguish between cat and dog. I will train with 60,000 pictures of cat and 60,000 pictures of dog. You take the 3 years old child, we show the dog and cat only twice. Next day you put a horse, the child said, no, this is not cat and dog. How much we put? We trained her only, him or her only 2 pictures. So to come to that equivalence in the machine, I will have to put 1 lakh pictures of cat and dog. Even with that, if the dog makes face becomes like this, it will say, I don't know. So we have those challenges. It's not that simple to transfer whatever God has given to us. I think we are a long way to go. That will not happen, don't worry. It will not happen. Only thing is we have to pick good skills. Supply chain part, yes, he spoke beautifully. So one or two things that comes is how do we increase the visibility in the supply chain? Supply chains are becoming global. Even if you take mobile, Chip comes from one country, camera comes from another country, my voice to text converter is coming from another country, the case may be coming from another country, finally assembly will be done in India. So if you ask who is the supplier for this mobile chain, there is not single supplier now, it has become already 5. Chip comes from Taiwan or Korea or Ukraine or wherever it is. Camera comes from another place, third one comes from another place. So the chain has become global. The moment the chain has become global, the risk has increased. Somewhere in the link somebody may fail. This is what happened when Ukraine war came and half the supply started coming. So what we are trying to do is long back, we have something called just in time. You just give me that much only, now the inventory I will have to increase. This is what we call the political risk. Because of the political risk, that just in time becomes tough. War comes, something happens, flood comes, then where is the supply chain? The chain is getting broken. So we have to use that IoT to bring some type of visibility in the supply chain. That is the first part. He spoke about the goods movement. Money also flows in the supply chain. It's not only the goods, money also flows in the supply chain. There the financial technology is coming. That is where we want to speed up the movement of the money apart from movement of the goods. And both of them has to be synchronized. Where blockchain again comes, how do we trust your some fellow who is sitting in some part of the country, whether he is the real supplier, we don't know him. So we cannot go and physically verify all my suppliers there. Take a flight every day and keep on supplying and that next supplier, how do you check? It is not one chain, that supplier also comes. So we cannot keep on verifying like this roaming in the country. It cannot happen. Blockchain comes. That is the technology. Your 5G, blockchain, Internet of Things, that is the technology part. The other one is the application part. And I think eventually most of the applications will move to mobile. Because what is the processing capability of your laptop now will go to the mobile. Earlier that 8 GB RAM was almost a server, sir. That whole tower used to sit. Now that 8 GB has come to the mobile, 8 GB has become old now. We are even talking 32 GB, which is equivalent to a server. Old days back, even server never used to have 32 GB. Whole room it used to occupy. So the technology is growing. So applications are also growing. With all that, human intelligence is much ahead. We don't know how God has given this. We have to accept this. So we will don't get somehow we don't get displaced from our job. The only thing is upskilling has to happen. That's the problem. You cannot keep on doing the same work again and again because there is something called the half-life knowledge. Half-life time of the knowledge. Earlier it used to be 5 years. Now it has almost come down to 1.5 or 1 year. So all of us have to ask the question, next year are we employable? I think the